Well, oddly enough, I was on the staff of UCLA back in the 60s, and I gave the first class at UCLA because one of my jobs at UCLA was to develop the curriculum for the new students coming aboard and also the dental school itself. And so I was fortunate to give the first lecture on mercury fillings that the students had. And in my research, I uncovered that mercury was a concern. In fact, in 1848, it was considered illegal to use mercury, unethical. The then union of dentistry was the American College of Dental Surgeons, and it was like the analogous to the ADA. And that group of bodies said it was illegal or unethical to use mercury because of its toxic concerns. But then there was no alternative that was able to be used. So dentists got together and began using mercury fillings because it was more economical. And indeed, there was a serious problem because what are you going to use? You can't use gold. Most people couldn't afford gold, and even the gold techniques were not refined as they are today. So there was no option, no alternative. So this group of dentists began to use mercury fillings, and that group grew and became the American Dental Association. So the American Dental Association has had its formation on the utilization of mercury fillings, which is ironic, of course. In fact, in the average mouth, we might find sometimes 26 different metals in the mouth, which again not only is biocompatible problem with toxicities, but the electronics. This has been a fascinating field for us in the last 15 years. We've been doing electronic readings by using an amp meter, a more sophisticated digital amp meter. Well, if we have teeth now that have metal in their mouth that are constantly generating electricity, and by the way, our car battery is a lead pole and a zinc pole and a box of sulfuric acid, right? If we wanted to create the quintessential battery, we would use gold and silver, the cathode and the anode, the positive and the negative pole, which can create a wonderful battery. Well, we do this in the mouth. So tremendous amounts of electricity can disturb the normal flow of ionic flow in the body. So if you've got a constant flow of electricity created by the metal fillings in our mouth, we can then turn off, or the body says, hey, the stimulation is constant, I better do something to adapt. So it blocks instead of stimulates, like the initial acupuncture needle is stimulated, but if left in there could cause a problem. Our teeth are those bioelectrical electrodes, and I refer to them sometimes as spark plugs because they have capacity. The tooth, incidentally, the tooth is a very interesting device because it's surrounded by crystal. And the crystal, if we look at what the computer is all about, the computer has its heart in the silicone chip. It has the crystal of the silicone chip. And the analogous of the silicone chip in the computer is the enamel that covers this thing we call the tooth. So in a normal, healthy tooth, the tooth has capacity to hold a charge, like the spark plug has a capacity to hold a charge. But if you put metal in that tooth, you disturb this electronic flow. And so a whole vast of things are now being looked at related to this electrical disturbance that you make mention of, and rightly so.